I'm going to be comparing the Gremlins movies to the Goofy movies from Disney Animation, because in part one of this series I compared Gremlins to Nutty Professor, Gremlins 1. I compared Goofy to The Thing, Goofy 1. So now I'm going to compare Gremlins and Goofy. When you look at highest score for each franchise, the original Gremlins has an 86%, the Extremely Goofy movie has a 63%. When you look at lowest score, a Goofy movie only has a 59%. Gremlins 2: A New Batch has a bit of a higher score, 71%. When you look at average, Gremlins has an average of 78, while Goofy has an average of 61. Then we look at gap between lowest and highest score. With Goofy, you only have a gap of 4%. With Gremlins, you have a gap of 15%. So Goofy wins this round, but Gremlins already won 3 rounds, so Gremlins is going to win no matter what. In regards to my personal opinion, I'm actually going to say that I prefer the Goofy franchise. I think the original Gremlins is a really good movie. I like the way it looks. I like that it's more of an entry-level horror comedy rather than a more intense adult slasher like Nightmare on Elm Street, which is clearly not intended for kids. Also, I like the characters in Gremlins. Our main character, Billy, is someone that we can definitely root for. He's someone that we like. The story here makes sense, and the rules of the Mogwai are quite memorable. They don't actually make sense, as Gremlins 2 points out, but still, they're definitely something you remember. Admittedly, that moment where our main female character tells this guy a whole story about her dad, it's suddenly things get really dramatic in the midst of all this chaos and pandemonium that's happening, with gremlins all over the town doing all this stuff, getting up to their shenanigans. It feels odd, and we have all this chaos going on, and then suddenly you have this really dramatic moment of this girl telling this guy all about her dad, and that never comes back again. It's something that I don't think has aged all too well, but overall, I think the movie really works. And then with Gremlins 2, it's a movie that I respect more so than I enjoy. I respect the fact that Joe Dante just decided, hey, let's get nuts with this movie. It's like it's like he had no restraints on him, and thus he was like, okay, yeah, it's because I can do whatever I want, I'm just going to go crazy. And in fact, when you look into the behind the scenes of this movie, he didn't even originally want to do a Gremlins 2. And then the studio basically was like, please, please give us a sequel. So Joe Dante is like, oh, fine, I'll give you a sequel, but only if you allow me to do whatever the heck I want. And so they let him do whatever the heck he wanted, and thus he just went, okay, everybody, let's get nuts. And so you watch Gremlins 2, and it's like, this movie is bananas. It's nuts. Suddenly you have a talking gremlin, a fruit gremlin, a bat gremlin, one that turns into electricity, a lady gremlin. There's literally a moment in Gremlins 2 where this guy is giving a bad review to the first Gremlins movie, and then the Gremlins kill him. It's like, what the heck is going on here? This is so bizarre. And there's a part where you literally see all these people at a theater watching a movie, then the screen suddenly cuts out, and this big guy stands up to say, hey, what's going on? Get the movie playing again. It's hilarious to me how meta Gremlins 2 is and how weird it is. But I respect Joe Dante for doing that more so than I really enjoy the movie. When it comes to Goofy, I think both these movies are really good. They're really fun, entertaining. I like the stories that they each are telling. When it comes to the first Goofy movie, it's about this guy Max, who doesn't really like his father too much. His father tends to embarrass him. Max is like, oh, Dad, I want to go to this concert. I don't want to go camping. But Max's dad really wants to go camping with his son. And you can tell that he means well. He's not trying to hurt his son or anything like that. He just isn't very good at picking up on social cues, so he's not seeing how he's not taking into consideration what his son actually actually wants. But then as the movie goes on, Max and his dad connect with each other better. And by the end of the movie, Max's dad even meets this girl that Max likes. The two of them do, in fact, end up at this concert on stage together. It's really fun. Then you get to the sequel, extremely goofy movie, and sequel found a way to continue the story that makes sense. Now Max is heading off to college, and thus his dad, Goofy, is like, "Oh, my son's going off to college. I'm not gonna have him in my life anymore. I'm gonna be an empty nester. Oh, that's sad. He's not gonna be around anymore. I wish I could still be with him." And then he learns that he actually needs to get a college degree in order to get a job. So he's like, "Oh, yes, I can go to college to be with my son." But Max is like, "Oh, no, 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 no. I do not want my dad at college with me. He's going to embarrass me. No, no, no. I need to figure things out myself." But Max's dad ends up going to college as well. In fact, he actually ends up being on this team full of these jerks because he thinks he's doing a good thing there. Max is on this other team, but actually by the end of the movie, Max and his dad end up working together. They expose this one fraternity for the cheats that they are. And also by the end of the movie, Max's dad has his own life. Max has his own life. Though they still clearly love each other. There's no resentment between them. They're not cutting each other out of the other's lives or anything like that. No, it's just Max's dad has things he likes doing on his own now. He has this girl that he likes, and she actually ends up meeting Max. So by the end, it's really heartwarming. You're like, "Oh, yeah, Max and his dad are in a really good place now. The relationship is just in a really good place." So I enjoy both these movies a lot. I think they both should be fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, though Goofy movie is very close to being fresh. It has a 59%, so it's 1% away from 60, so it's almost fresh. That's not too bad, but I personally think it should be fresh. Goofy movies are the ones that I enjoy more than Gremlins, but Gremlins is going to be winning this debate, however. That'll be it for now. Bye, everyone.